Yeah.
The snack bar is open.
You know, I don't ever talk much about my college days. People ask me about it. But I went to Texas A&M, went there almost one entire semester, and my major was veterinary gynecology, because you can make a lot of money at that, giving pelvis exams to poodles. But the main reason I decided to be an Aggie was so that I could join the Aggie Corps, the pride of Texas, the uniformed students that are even more serious about Army stuff than regular Army guys are. I mean, to give you some idea, when we invaded Iraq last year, there were guys in the Aggie Corps launching Patriot missiles out of their dorm windows. These guys wear medals on their underwear. And that's why I can't just stand idly by while the Corps is dragged through the mud with these recent accusations of how the women cadets are treated like old pieces of dirty laundry, just wadded up and slam dunked into a basketball clothes hamper. Listen to me. Please try to understand this. Everybody in the Corps is treated like a disposable diaper. It's not discrimination. Up until 1964, the men had to stand out on the federal highway with a toilet bowl on their head singing Scottish folk ballads. I was personally offended when a federal judge struck down this time-honored Corps tradition by calling it a peculiarly sadistic form of hazing. It was not peculiar. It was genuinely sadistic. Nobody gets the point of this stuff anymore. I'll never forget the proud day I was stripped naked and lashed to the underbelly of a wild hog, which was released into the Big Thicket National Wildlife Preserve. They found me 9 hours later, curled up in the fetal position, licking the sap off a pine tree. But you see, that sounds sick, sure, but it's experiences like that that have made me what I am today. In a way, now that I think about it, I'm always curled up in the fetal position licking the sap off a pine tree. Maybe it's not a real pine tree, and maybe I'm not really licking it, but in my mind, that's what I'm doing. And another thing, how do you know whether a cadet has leadership potential or not unless he can eat 12 Big Macs in a row, chase that with 47 Coronas, and walk a straight line with a blacksmith's anvil strapped to his skull? You know, we have sick people in the Texas A&M administration today who want to end this practice and replace it with a written test. I'd like to know what questions they're going to ask. Well, what would that 37th Corona taste like if you were drinking it right now? How can they say, see, you can't replace real military experience with mere theory. Do these women want to be regular Army or not? We already let them get by with refusing to wear those trick breeches that Aggie corpsmen have always worn to football games. You know those things? Looks like 1,700 Thurston P. Howell lookalikes have all entered the stadium at the same time. And also, we lightened up on the obstacle course regulations so that they no longer have to grease their bodies and slide through a sewer pipe using only their butt muscles. I mean, how many exceptions can you make before you lose military discipline entirely? I ask you, what would have happened to me if the Corps had never made me attach those surgical clamps to the fleshy part of my... Well, never mind about that part. I guess women couldn't do that after all. But I'll tell you one gall darn thing. I felt like a soldier for all 3 days that I was in the Corps. And speaking of guys that have been kicked in the head one too many times, tonight's movie is Metomorphosis, about this genetic scientist who injects his eyeball with mutant DNA and turns into a raven, prostitute-killing dinosaur. Now, I don't mean he's old-fashioned. I mean he turns into a dinosaur. You know, I gotta admit, this happens at the end of every month, and I'm not going to lie to you about it. We ran out of money to buy movies for this month's drive-in theater, and so what we've got here is a flick that somebody just gave us. They dropped it off at the office one day. It's kind of like an orphan baby in a basket, and we said, hell yeah, we'll show anything. And so that's how this happened. We don't just have bad acting here. We have acting that could be used as a weapon in the Middle East. You can't show this movie at drive-ins in Pakistan for fear of what the audience will do. Anyhow, it has its moments. There are 3 scenes in here where this hypodermic needle with a mechanical arm on it is injected into eyeballs. Made me cringe every time I saw it. But you can hardly watch that. But other than that, we've got 6 naked breasts, 7 dead bodies, rated R. I give it 2 stars. Check it out, and then we'll visit a little more. And in fact, later tonight, we got Lynn Redgrave in The Happy Hooker, you know, the most disgusting thing she ever did until last year when she made that sitcom where she kissed Jackie Mason on the lips. Yeah. Is it over yet? Thank God. You know, I got to get a real job. Nights like this really take their toll on me. Okay, well, stick a fork in me because I'm done. Nurses Month starts 1 week from tonight, only on Drive-In Theater. Y'all heard those blonde jokes that are going around? How do you keep a blonde busy for hours? Give her a bag of M&Ms and tell her to alphabetize them. What does a blonde say after sex? Are all you guys on the same team? What does a blonde say when she finds out she's pregnant? I hope it's mine. Joe Bob Briggs reminding you that the drive-in will never die. How do blondes get hurt raking leaves? They fall out of the tree. What's the mating call of a blonde? I am so drunk. Oh, Michelle, I didn't know you were here. What's the mating call of a brunette? The blonde.